kí gbogbo wa nílé lóko lẹ́yìn òdì, mo kí wá ipá kó bójú ọjọ́ ṣe rí, mo kí ẹ̀yin ìyá, mo kí ẹ̀yin bàbá, mo kí ẹ̀gbọ́n, mo kí àbúrò. Èmi ọmọ yín náà ni olólùfẹ́ yín, very dark lady Dr. Sabe. Ayé ọpẹ́ yọ olórúkọ púpọ̀. Èwo ni mo mú wá fún wa lọ́jọ́ títí òní wípé kémi àti yín kájọ ṣe àgbéyẹ̀wò ẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí a ṣe jọ máa ń ṣe. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo sọ fún yín wípé ìrírí true life story òun ni ó máa jẹ́ 80% nínú lórí ìkànnì wa nísìnyí lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ yìí. Gẹ́gẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ti ṣe mọ̀ pé Yorùbá ni mí o, ọmọ kóòtù òjíire nìran mi, ọmọ aládé ni mí, bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ibi tèmi dúró sí nìyẹn. Bọ̀ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ yìí ní àkókò yìí true life story tí àwa náà máa fi máa rí ìrírí ayé wípé oh my God, torí nǹkan tí mo mọ̀ ẹ̀yin ò mọ̀, nǹkan tẹ̀yin náà mọ̀ èmi náà ò mọ̀. Tí ẹ bá wá ń gbádùn ẹ má gbàgbé láti bá wa máa kọ sínú comment section wípé a fẹ́ irú ẹ̀ sí, ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ rànra wa lọ́wọ́. Mo mọ̀ pé lágbára lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run mi ò ní ṣìwí, ẹ̀yin náà ò ní ṣì mí gbọ́. Lọ́gọ́ ìmàkìlà wa ìgbà wo ni èmi ò mọ̀, àkókò wo ni mi ò mọ̀, bọ̀ mo mọ̀ wípé lágbára lọ́wọ́ àṣẹ̀dá a máa bọ́ nínú oko ẹ̀rú. Ẹ máa bá mi ká lọ. Let's go there.
Watching this, they can get to know who you are. All right. Who are you?
My name is Zizo Isabelozam Ableni. I was born in 1994 in February. I'm a child who grew up under a loving family. My maternal side of the family, that is who I am basically. Like, I am this person who went through a lot, but at the end persevered and came out to be the woman that I am today. I grew up in the Eastern Cape.
In the Eastern Cape?
Yes.
Growing up as Cizo, how was it like?
It was good because my mom and my dad were not married.
Okay.
So I was conceived in college, they met in college and I was conceived, and then my mom's, because she was still in varsity, I had to go live with my grandparents. So that is the life that I was used to, living with cousins, and my mom would come and visit when she gets paid at work. And so that is how I grew up, in that type of setting of a family.
Yeah. Take me through your childhood, man. I feel like there's a lot, that happened in your childhood, the best memories that happened in your childhood, your relationship with your mom, your relationship with your dad as well. How was those relationships?
All right. Typically, when my mom told my dad that she was pregnant, my dad didn't want anything to do with the pregnancy. And he was like, no, this is not my child, you know how it goes. And then I was born and I lived with my grandparents, and life was just like that for me up until I turned maybe 4 or 5. And I was introduced to this man now who I get to call my father, because before then, I knew the father figures that I knew in my life were my uncles. Those were the father figures I knew, but I knew that they were not my fathers because I was with my cousins who were their daughters and sons and whatnot, and they called them Odada, and I knew how to call them not as dad, So I knew that I didn't have a dad, but I did have male figures around me, especially with my grandfather too. He was also around. So when I'm like 5 years old, I get introduced to this man who is going to be like, now, this is your father. And I was so excited for myself to actually have someone that I can call a father. And it was just an exciting journey for me. And my dad was just incredible in terms of making sure that I had everything that I needed. And he was teaching at the same town that I went to school at.
So he was a teacher?
Yes, he was a teacher. So he would come visit me during my school hours, and it was just that relationship between a father and a daughter. So life continued, and then in the year 2001, he asked that I go live with him because he didn't like that I went to rural schools. So he was also moving to another town in Mthatha. So he was like, why don't you move with me, and just for you to get to So I went to live with him.
Okay.
But when I arrived, he had married someone else.
Okay.
And they had a daughter, and then there was me. So there were four of us living in this house.
Before you go
Okay.
forward, when he suggested that you're gonna stay with him,
Mm-hmm.
what did your mother say?
My mom was in agreement with everyone because it was a discussion.
Family
Yeah, it was a
discussion.
family
Yeah.
discussion. Ukuthi, okay, now are we all agreeing, because this man has been paying the fees, has been,
Did everything
supporting,
right.
did everything. So
Yeah.
there's nothing that we can't say he can't do it, because in our culture there are also those things of paying if a man gets a girl pregnant. But my family is not that much into that, but as long as the father is supportive and all of that. So that was like, oh, okay, he's already done his part, if I
Yeah.
can put it like that. So it's fine. He's shown that he's capable of taking care of. Obviously, there were weekends and holidays that I would go and visit. It was arranged like that. It wasn't like a forever thing. So the relationship between my maternal family wasn't cut off. He was not like taking me entirely. As a child, and as soon as I arrived there, I realized that there are problems in terms of they were physically fighting. They were fighting, and it's something that I was never used to. My uncles were married, and my uncle, my grandfather and my grandmother were married. I'd never seen them fight. I'd never seen them shout each other. So it was quite a foreign concept for me to see adults fighting. My stepmother now did something wrong. This is why she's getting a beating, So I was now introduced to that life where they would fight, they would have these fights, and I would have to rescue the baby and run away with her to go to the neighbors and just stay there until the storm has calmed, and when they're fine, and then I would take the baby back and life just continues as if nothing happened.
I know.
But all of this, okay, so this other day they had this huge fight. This happened like as soon as I arrived. Maybe I arrived in January, and in March, like in February already, they're already fighting and all of that. And I knew that I'm only going to be able to see my mom maybe in the holidays, or when she comes to visit on the weekends, like when she comes to see me, when she gets a chance to come and see me. So I didn't have a chance to be able to tell them what is going on. And I was still a baby. I was young. I was only 7 at that time.
It was very difficult for you.
Yes, it was very difficult. It was a difficult concept for me. As I said earlier, it was a normal thing in the sense that maybe my mom did something wrong. This is why now she's getting beaten, because that's how I grew up. You get a hiding. If you don't do your dishes or you don't do that, you get a hiding, So that's how it was in my mind.
It's very traumatic for you, I'm sure.
Definitely.
Because all the sounds and
the
noises, you hearing people bashana game, bama.
Yes. So this other day now, they had this huge fight that ended up my stepmother taking the baby and just packing up a few clothes and leaving. So she left, and then it was on that night that my dad raped me. And when it happened, it was like, oh, maybe this is also a part of what happens to daughters and their fathers. I thought for me, it was just like a normal thing that happens. Yes, it was extremely painful. It was just a lot, but I never thought that it was wrong.
Pause. The same night that your stepmother left is the same night that your dad raped you.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So to you, it was like, maybe this is how things should be like.
Yes, so this is how things happen. I was also thinking about my cousins who were females. I was like, okay, maybe my uncles do this to them, like, but no one, like, why didn't they tell me, you know? So that is how I got to keep quiet, because I thought it was a normal thing and no one talks about it.
7 years old.
7 years old.
How old was your dad? Were you aware?
I know, I don't know. I don't know.
Sure. Do you remember that night, though?
Yes, I do.
Are you able to take me through?
Yes, because okay, so we were watching TV. It was after he had a fight, and I was just there watching TV, and I remember now because we lived in a commune setting, so each room, that it was a big house, and then each room had a family of their own, and I would sleep on the floor with the baby when stepmom was home, and they would sleep on the bed. So this night now, my dad calls me to come and sleep on the bed, you know, because stepmom and baby are not home. So, and then all of a sudden he's asking that I come on top of him. And as soon as I'm on top of him, he's on top of me, you know. It was just like a split of a second thing. He's on top of me and already he's penetrating me, you know. It was just a quick process, but painful one. But for me, it seemed as though it was not ending, you know. And that happened. And in the bathroom, when he was done, in the bathroom, there was already water inside. I don't know. Maybe it was when I was watching TV that he went and got water into the bathtub, and he put me into that water and he washed me thoroughly. He washed me, and probably that washing took about an hour, because I feel now when I realized he was trying to get rid of the evidence in case anything happened. And I remember the following day, I think it was a Saturday, and I obviously I was gonna go play with my friends, but he was like, "No, you're not allowed to go and play today." And I could also feel my body wasn't allowing me to go and play. So that day, he spent nursing me of my pain and all of that. So that was the first experience.
That's very painful, man.
Mm-hmm. It was very difficult. It was very difficult because now I started to miss home, you know. I started to miss not having a father anymore. If this is what having a father meant, I didn't want it in terms of the physical pain, because I just was like, no, this cannot, like, mommy, like, you know, like as a child, like, when is the stepmother? Even with the stepmother, it wasn't all nice when she was around, when it's just me and her, you know. It was just a typical stepmother and daughter relationship. It wasn't nice, but I missed her. Like, I wanted her to come back, because I knew that when she's not here, this doesn't happen, you know. It doesn't happen when she's around, because all these months that I have been here already, none of this happened. But now when she's gone home, this happens.
So in the house, it was just the two of you alone?
Yes, it was just the two of them.
Did you perhaps try to run away by any chance?
No, I did not.
Was it the last time he did that to you?
No, it was not the last time. That was the beginning of many more times, because my stepmother did eventually come back, and life was good. They would have their fights and all of that. But then whenever my stepmother decided, no, man, I'm just going to visit my family, and then he would get an opportunity, unless I had gone to other family members. Now his sister also lived around, so she would, like, invite me on weekends. So I knew my cousins from that side, so I would go there. Then he would not have the chance to rape me.
Did you try to tell somebody by any chance?
No.
Even your mom?
Even my mom, and my mom would constantly visit, but I just didn't have.
Did he threaten you?
No, he didn't threaten me at that time.
Did he give you money, like, so that
Definitely.
you can just...
I was at school. I was the child who had everything. I was the child, like, my dad wore brands, so like I had sneakers, branding, all of that. And after the incident, he would take me to a restaurant, buy clothes and then come back. But then in the child of a mind, in the mind of a child, then it didn't click that he was actually manipulating the situation. So I just like, oh, okay, this happened yesterday. Healing, there would be a day in between for my healing or whatever. I would be in bed, and then the next day it's shopping, it's this and that and the other.
So this became normal to you?
It became normal, yes.
Yeah, I know. You know what's confusing me is that your dad was a teacher. I mean, like, this is a person that teaches young kids.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? And you would think that this is a person that's supposed to be protecting kids and inspiring kids and teaching kids what's wrong, what's right. You know what I mean? But now he's doing this to his own daughter.
Yeah. And apparently the school that he left the previous year so that he could go to Mthatha with me, he had done the same thing, but it was like under the carpet thing, and they advised him to just resign and go look at a school elsewhere. And also that family didn't take it, further, and it just ended there, and he just relocated and life basically continued for him.
Let's go a little bit forward. Now, what do you think was the problem with him?
I have no idea.
Do you think maybe he was possessed or something?
Like, I feel like you would say someone is possessed if they did that once, if it was like a once-off thing. But to continue doing it for 7 years, I don't think you could say that they're possessed. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to. I don't know.
When you look back, do you think you're the only
No,
girl?
definitely not. Definitely not. Because I remember in the year now 2002, my mom, also during that year, my mom could see that, no, man, my child is not happy, even though she could not pinpoint. She says that she saw that I was losing weight and now I am reserved. When she would come and visit, I was no longer that bubbly person. So she's like, okay, maybe it's because of the stepmother, so let me just take her. So she took me and I went to live with her. But then there were some weekends that he would ask that I go visit him. He's buying me clothes and all of that, and that I need to fit the clothes, so I should go to him. So whenever an opportunity arose from there, he would take it and rape me. And then I remember in those days when I used to visit him, there were schoolgirls that would come and things happened, now I remember that they would be having sex, with me in the room, and I would be sleeping. So there were like schoolgirls in uniform would constantly come into the house, and
While you were in the room?
while I was in the room, yes.
How long did this last for? Did it happen for months or for years?
It happened for years. Because I ended up not living with him anymore. I even went to boarding school. But whenever there was something, maybe at home there's a celebration that needs to be done and he's buying the clothes for that, when I have to go to him he always insisted that I need to go so that I fit the clothes and all of that. So that was when it would happen. That's how it stretched to happen for 7 years.
So he would find a way to
Yes.
see you naked by you fitting clothes next to him, and then he would take the advantage. But it's quite shocking because you speak about the kids that used to come there. I don't know, were they doing, when you look at them, were they doing grade 11, grade 12?
Definitely, they were grade 11. Yes, they were like, because he taught like at a high school. So it was like grade 11s because they would come dressed in their uniform.
Do you think maybe he was spoiling them, maybe buying them airtime? Because airtime at the time
the time was a thing.
Yeah.
Probably.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
But what's shocking, because I think this is crazy. That's why I'm thinking maybe he was possessed. How will he, do something like that, invite kids from his school where he teaches and have sex with them while you are in the room,
Yeah.
and you can literally hear a grade 11-year-old screaming,
Yeah.
and you know that that also happens to you.
Yes, yes.
Said this happened for how many years?
For 7 years. For 7 years. Because in grade 7 now, at the school that I was in, it ended at grade 7. It was a primary school, and there was the year-end function when you're leaving to another school. So he was like, again, buying me the clothes for that function. So I had to go to Umtata, and he raped me, and fortunately, I fell pregnant. I had started my period, and I remember the previous year when I started my period, I went to an adult to tell them that I'm pregnant. I started my period, and they just warned me to stay away from boys. Almost they didn't really like sit you down and tell you that when you start your periods, this is what happens and whatnot. So they just told me to stay away from boys. And I remember there was a story that we were read about an uncle touching their niece. And in my head, I thought, oh, the uncle is wrong. It's supposed to be a dad who does that, to their daughters, not uncles. And I did, when I went to visit him, I did tell him that, listen, I heard something like this, and I think you are doing the same thing. And then that's when the threatening started. And the threats were about, I'm never going to buy you clothes again. You're going to be a liar. No one is going to love you. You're just going to be an orphan, basically, you know. So, and then I was quiet now. I was like, okay, no, I'm not going to talk about this. I'm not telling one about this until the next year that I went to visit him and I fell pregnant. And so I fell pregnant. My mom was told that I'm pregnant. I got sick at school. Like, I also didn't even know that I am pregnant. I got sick at school and I was taken to a nearby hospital clinic. And there...
How old were you?
I am 13 now.
13 now,
Yes.
okay.
13, and I was taken to that hospital, and the doctor was like, Ish, I don't know what is happening, but just in case, let's just do a pregnancy test, And he did do a pregnancy test, and it was positive. And my mom had to literally explain to me how a person gets pregnant because I didn't know how it happens. And it was when my mom explained to me the process of how a person gets pregnant, I was like, oh, that thing, that is what my dad does to me, and he's been doing it since I started living with him.
Jeez, man. So your own dad made you pregnant. So how were you able to explain to your mom? Because probably you had that chat.
I don't know. Like, I was just like, Mom, because my mom started obviously as a black parent.
Yeah.
She started by shouting as to how could you get pregnant at such a young age and whatnot and whatnot. And me, I thought pregnancy was a sickness, She just had to explain to me what is wrong with me because the doctor said I'm pregnant. So, and I'm like, Mom, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, what do you mean I'm going to have a baby? Like, what do you mean? And it was when she took me through the process that, no, man, don't make me a fool. Like when a boy does this and that, I'm like, oh, Mina, the only thing of a boy that I've ever seen is my dad's. And what you are explaining is what my dad does to me. And she was obviously shocked. And then I just told her, Guti, this has been happening like since 2001, ever since I lived with him. But Mina, I thought it was normal. I thought it was something that was supposed to be happening. And then last year, he started threatening me that you would never love me, that you would get rid of me, all of that. So that's when I decided not to tell anyone about what was happening to me. And then that's when my mom reassured me that, no, man, that is a lie. I still love you and I'm here to protect you and all of that. And that's how the process of going to the police and all of that began.
So your mom went to the police?
Yes, on my behalf.
To open a case?
Yes.
So how did your dad take this?
He obviously denied it.
Okay.
He denied that this happened. And because it had happened over a long period of time, I had already birthed. I had, there was no evidence on me except for the fetus that was growing inside of me. So it was basically decided by everyone, family, social workers, that I need to get rid of the pregnancy. First of all, it's my dad's baby, and it will also help in terms of the court case in evidence purposes.
Yeah.
So, but even before that was done, I had a miscarriage. So that didn't work in my favor. So now it was just my word against his.
Jeez, man. Have you ever thought now that if maybe you kept the baby, how things were going to be like?
Like if it was now, and I would also have made the same decision for myself.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine, first of all, what would I call the baby? Is it my sister? Is it my child? Like, it was just the dynamics of it. Like and obviously it was going to be a constant reminder of something painful that has happened to me, and like even now I would have decided to terminate
the baby. So did it escalate to a point whereby you guys are going to court now?
Yes, we went to court, but justice system of South Africa, we reported the case in 2007, but I was only able to go to court in 2011 when I was 17 years old. So all those years in between, it was all, no, go back. He's not ready. This is missing. That is missing. It was just a lot of up and downs up until 2011. But then even then, I was not allowed to be in court physically because I was still young.
Yeah.
So I was in another room, and through an intermediary, I was able to share my testimony.
And your dad was walking freely?
Freely, all those years.
And I'm probably sure he was doing the same thing even when you guys were...
I'm sure.
Jeez, but that...
Because we have no communication whatsoever.
Was he found guilty?
He was found guilty eventually, I think 2016, I think so. And but he's already out. He got out in 2023.
He was in jail for how long?
I think from 2016 to 2023.
Yeah, probably 8 years.
Yeah.
Mo rò pé gbogbo wa láti wo èyí tá gbé wá lọ́jọ́ títí òní bó ṣe rí, báwo lẹ ṣe rí sí lọ́dọ̀ títí yín ṣe àgbákò àní rìn lọ́jọ́ ibi ń pọ̀nà tọmọtọmọ lágbára lọ́wọ́ àṣẹ̀dá. Èmi ni tí nítòótọ́, ẹ má gbàgbé láti bá mi taari ẹ̀ síwájú, ẹ má gbàgbé láti bá wa share fún ọ̀rẹ́, ará àti ojúlùmọ̀ ká lè kọ́ ẹ̀kọ́ nínú ìrírí ayé. Ire o, ire kàbíyèsí.